This is just a quick video because a lot of students forgot to annotate their flash fiction piece showing me 4 craft moves that you used in your story and explaining your analysis of why those craft moves were effective. So as a reminder from the assignment, it did tell you guys to do this, explain your favorite craft move choices, at least 4 different types. So that means if you tell me a simile, don't use simile again, or you will not get full marks for that. It also was mentioned in the rubric, which was attached to your actual document. So if you forgot to do this, and I'm giving you a second chance to fix it, please know that in the future, when you're at university or college, you will potentially not have these kind of opportunities from your professor. So you need to start learning to read your assignment carefully, please, and especially look at your marking scheme before you hand it in. Use it as a checklist for yourself to make sure that you've crossed off everything that your instructor is looking for. But because you're not in university or college yet, and I'd like you to get the best mark you can, I will let you have a chance to submit this in by the deadline that I've said. Here's an example of how you do that on your Google Doc if you forget. So here's a piece of writing that we've looked at as a class. It's just an excerpt from Neil Shusterman. Let's pretend that this is my own writing. I wish I was this talented. And I'm going to annotate it based on why I think I did what I did. So I see here, we've talked about in class, there's a great simile here where you compare humans to spiders, and the reality that we're building is like webs. So I'm going to highlight this part. If I want to make a comment, I right-click my mouse, I use the comment button over here, and I can write here, simile. Right there, I've already identified what the craft move is. As long as it's highlighted and clear, I don't need to do anything else for the knowledge part. Now your analysis part, what I do not want you to do, I do not want you to write, this is a simile because it compares humans to spiders. This is a 0 for analysis because you are not actually explaining why that comparison is thoughtful, or what was the creativity of choosing it, what do you want the reader to think about, what connections do you want them to make. You're just explaining the definition of a simile. The same thing goes for imagery. If you show me this is a visualization of a scene and your analysis is this helps the reader see the scene, that's a 0. You're just describing what is imagery. So remember that analysis is giving me something deeper that says, what do I want the reader to take away or appreciate from this part? Maybe it's impacting the mood of the reader, like we've talked about in class, the theme or the message of the story. Maybe it's a creative comparison that you want to explain why you chose to compare those two things. The possibilities are endless, but do not just explain the definition. So in this case, as we've talked about in class, and this should be review hopefully, we thought the creative comparison of humans to spiders was neat because, so I could say here, comparing humans to spiders shows the reader that we are small and frail. So like spiders, we build our lives and try to keep it from destruction, but really we are powerless over some things like war, it's very relevant right now, or economic disaster, right? Disease. So we talked about this in class, how spiders will continue to build their home even in the same spot. Even if you're very, very adamant that you're going to vacuum that cobweb every single week, I have a very persistent spider in my house, they will still come to the same spot and build their web over and over again. And in a way, humans are like that. Bad things will happen, and we build resilience to just keep building our lives even if something is negative, because even though we're small and powerless in some ways, we continue to make sure that we have a place to live, and we build our reality and we say it'll be okay tomorrow. So that's the comparison that they use here, that our reality is really quite frail if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, but we have to kind of imagine that there's a better part of tomorrow, or it can be pretty depressing. So anyway, that's the idea here with a level 4 analysis. It's very deep. It's showing a connection. It's not just explaining the definition. So you would do this for 4 different parts of your flash fiction story. And a reminder, if you need craft moves, this is in our Google Classroom. You can use this to remind you of what are some craft moves that you could use. You can use Control F button to find keywords. So let's say you're making a comparison and you're not sure what the name is for that type of craft move. Boom, Control F, and you can look up comparison, and remember that there's 3 types of comparisons. Which one is the most fitting for your flash fiction piece? Same idea if you're doing visualization. I can't spell, that's embarrassing. Oh, I didn't use that word. See, if you're trying to get them to see something. So we have here seemingly on things, but even point of view, they see through the eyes of the narrator. Even if you weren't sure what the name is of the craft move, remember to use the Control F button to help you find words in the definition that might remind you what it is that your purpose is for using that craft move. And lastly, I'll remind you that I am available for extra help. Most days I'm usually free, but especially if you make an appointment with me ahead of time after school or at lunch, and I'm happy to sit with you and help you. Looking forward to see the corrected version. And remember, if you missed the deadline for the corrected version, which I won't state in this video because it may change year to year and I don't want to make this video again, I would like to just make sure you write down the date that I said is the cutoff, and if it's not returned by then, it will not make this reporting cycle those corrections. Thank you so much. Have a great day.